Ladies and gentlemen, Gungans and droids, across our beloved empire, you've been heard! The fight against the Great Nerf of 2021 has begun, and CG has officially responded to all the concerns and criticism. And guess what? I brought in an extra central processing unit to break down this news for me on the complete opposite side of the galaxy, from down under, the one, the only, Hansi!
We are up and running. Well, thank you so much for having me. An absolute pleasure to be on the command deck with you right now, my friend. It is absolutely fantastic. A huge honor.
It's great to have you here in this empire today. Everybody, especially all of my Australian followers, if you need to find a stand-up guy from the other side of the galaxy, please check out Heinze, an amazing guy with a great personality that loves everything Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. We did a video on his channel. We'll do a card in the top right-hand corner. And in the video description, please go subscribe. This guy is absolutely amazing. It's been a long time I've been wanting to make a video, but we finally got the time for it. And man, Heinze, we got a big video to talk about. This is going to be a long video, so strap down, get your Jawa juice today, because my friend CG has responded to the road ahead criticism. Before we get into that, what was your initial reaction to all this crazy stuff that was going on?
Look, it's tricky, isn't it? It's so polarizing at the moment.
Yeah.
It really is. We love our game, Arnold. We love it.
No
We have
brainer.
an enormous passion for our game, and we really want it to be as good as it possibly can. And I think that, as they keep saying, this is something that has been an issue for a long time now.
Yeah.
And it needed to be addressed. There are certain things I am surprised about that they brought forward, which I'm sure we'll discuss. But yeah, I overall, you know, we had this same thing 12 months ago, didn't we, when Relics came out, and there was a huge uproar back then, and I think we all agree that's been great. So I think we're all really hoping that this will be the same situation.
That's the hope that we're worried now, but 7 months down the road, we're going to laugh at, oh man, that was minor. But we have to wait and see what the future holds. The developers talked about a lot of these concerns on the forums, and they also did a interview on the Gambit podcast, which I'll leave down below if you want to watch the whole entire thing. They talked about the Galactic Legends versus non-Galactic Legends. They talked about Dark Trooper. They talked about the crazy requirements for the Executor, how we're going to get more 7-star Razer Crests out there, and they even gave us the teaser. There's some puzzles coming, and I'm surprised they touched upon this. They talked about Gear Crunch. And the response is not going to make a lot of people happy, I think, my friend. So let's go ahead. I kind of want to start this first part and read this part verbatim, because I think obviously the biggest kicker out of everything in that road ahead was this whole part about the Galactic Legends versus non-Galactic Legends counters and interactions. So we'll do everything else verbatim. I think this is the most important thing right here. The community has always been excellent at puzzle solving, theory crafting, and finding ways to maximize the effectiveness of their rosters. The changes are meant to not only be for more design space for powerful characters below Galactic Legends, but also prevent situations in which a non-GL could one-shot or otherwise severely and regularly reduce the effectiveness of a Galactic Legend. Rest in peace, Darth Vader. As we mentioned in the video, changing characters post-launch is the last resort. I mean, to my recollection, they've never done something like this. Usually they'll buff a character like Malik, and they didn't like how Palpatine was able to steamroll him, so they added a clause. You can't get bonus tournament if you're a Sith. But I don't think they've ever went back and done something. So to give them a little bit of credit, this is the first time they've done something like this. Then continuing on, there needs to be a balance between how consistent the counter is and how powerful the squad they are facing is in comparison. This is not just for squads of GLs, but for any squad that is able to counter another for a healthy balance to the meta. Counters should require a similar amount of resources to the team that they can beat, whether that's mods, gear level, and or specific units. And the wrapping up this paragraph, GLs require a large amount of time and resources to unlock, and their place in the meta should reflect the difficulty involved in unlocking them. They are late game units, and it makes sense that they would be commensurate in power and effectiveness. They love using that word, commensurate, to their status as late game roster acquisitions that take a lot of effort to acquire. All right, a lot of words, Heinz. They put some human emotion and attachment to all these words here.
Let's go some TLDR. It's pretty simple. If you have a Galactic Legend, you'll be able to take one out. If you don't have one, tough luck. You're not going to do it. It's as simple as that. That's what they want. They want Galactic Legends to be the ultimate tier. They want you to have them. They want you to farm them. They want you to invest all your resources into them because they're their ultimate toy to have in our game.
Yeah.
So, it's incredible how, and we have, as you know, we have an amazing group of theory crafters in our community that have come up with these wild and wacky combinations that work. And that I don't see that ever stopping. I really don't. I think if there's a will, there's a way.
Right.
But yeah, obviously, once we see the new balance changes, we'll know whether there is a possibility or not. But yeah, I think it's definitely going to get to the point you need the toys or you don't.
Yeah, but here's my concern. Is this like, you know how we know that there's a hard policy in regards to they don't like infinite loops of turn meter inside of Raid. They'll patch that. They don't like when under-geared characters are better than the geared for a version of them. So they'll patch something. Like, I know they're looking into that Jedi Knight Guardian thing. There hasn't been much development on that Jedi Knight Guardian Master Kenobi C-3PO interaction lately that they've mentioned. Yeah. But is this going to be like the third new hard rule? If you're a non-galactic legend beating a galactic legend, we're going to do something about it? Like, there's a few teams that are on my radar that seem like they'll work. Like, have you ever done the Captain Rex lead versus Supreme Leader Kylo? There's like 0 legendaries in that team. Yeah. And like, I'll be very happy if they keep it. But it's just is this a policy going forward?
I think it will be. I think they're pushing to the point that either you have the toys or you don't. I think that's what they want, whether it's right or wrong. I just see that that's the way that they're going to push it. And I think that they're definitely going to buff up the Galactic Legends even more to ensure that it is almost impossible to take them down with anything less than a Galactic Legend. That's how I read it anyway. And they came out in the Gambit. No, I'm sorry. They came out in the Gambit podcast and said, look, we're not going to kill every interaction off, but why would they do most of it and not all of it? So I think that there will be that policy there for sure.
I have a weird conspiracy theory. I mean, I sometimes like to take the pessimistic approach. I feel like they're doing this because why chase for a galactic legend when there's all these non-galactic legends counters that exist? Just get your Vader, get your Jedi Knight Luke, your General Anakin Skywalker, and you can pretty much counter every single team out there that exists. I feel like that may have been part of the play. They want people to go for galactic legends, but with Vader being the best non-galactic legend character that existed to this point, why go for that? Especially when Vader, you can give him the 7 stars as a new player within the first like 4 or 5 months or something like that. So I think Kindsey, I don't know, maybe tell me if I'm wrong. I think this is one of those things we got to wait, I think, at least 6 months minimum after this update to see what this world is looking like. And if we can adapt moving forward. I'm hoping it's just another one of those updates that really sucked, but we end up persevering. I think we take a lot of brunt for it because this game is Star Wars, man.
Yeah, we do. We do silly things playing this game. We've all done it. And if you don't, you're lying. We all do. There's no doubt. But yeah, we will have to wait and see. I mean, we haven't seen obviously the extent of all the changes and what it's going to mean for us playing this game. We have an idea from a small amount of information, but like everything with CG, my friend, it's always subject to change. So we'll see how that goes too.
All right, well, let's move on. The next issue that really was on people's radar was in regards to how are journey events going to be affected by this. I mean, the biggest thing is obviously General Anakin Skywalker. Yes, he's getting nerfed in the GL space, the GL counter space, but he's getting a nice buff in what I like to call the second tier peasants rock, paper, scissors tournament, where he's going to recover a lot more protection and cover than ever before. And people were a little bit concerned about, is this going to make the gas event more difficult? We didn't get really too many specifics here, but they're saying that they're going to keep an eye on things and they want to make sure the difficulty stays more in line to what things were before. So if you're worried that General Anakin Skywalker is going to be much more difficult to obtain, their intention, at least, who knows if it is harder, who knows how long it's going to take to get to fixing it, but they don't want it to be more difficult than before. And I think that's a big one because we want to get characters like this. We get that, fine, you're nerfing them, but don't make it more difficult to get characters like this, because that would make every single guide ever made to existence completely irrelevant at this point.
100%. I was actually quite happy to hear that they are aware of that issue and that possibility, and they will be monitoring it. I think that they want to keep that to an achievable target for that event. I think that makes a lot of sense. I really do. It has been easier to achieve since we've had all the relics come out anyway. The first time I did it, we didn't even have relics. It took me like 9 hours to unlock the guy first time round. So it's a lot easier now than it used to be just with the relic introductions. So it's again something that I hope is achievable. He's a great character. He should have him by now. He's been in the wild for so long now, Arnold. It makes sense to definitely not make it harder to get a character that should be easier, considering the next tier up is now Galactic Legends. Right,
yeah. So this was kind of a big deal. I mean, unfortunately, I wish they kind of elaborated more on conquest difficulty, unless they mentioned the podcast, but the reason why we bring this up is because characters like General Anakin Skywalker are so important, and we just don't know how are these changes going to affect journey guides and the conquest. Because if we'll talk about conquest more towards the end, because I don't think they mentioned it in the podcast unless you picked it up or in this forum post. But let's just move on, because I'm more concerned about Conquest, I think, slightly than Grand Arena, potentially. I'm concerned about them both, but Conquest I'm really concerned about. Moving on, Dark Trooper. There's been some confusion in regards to Dark Trooper. They made it seem like in the video that they had some more nerfs to come to things like the Dark Trooper. Basically, long story short, they are not doing any direct changes to his kit, which makes me happy. This is like, I think, maybe the slight cherry on top. They only mentioned the Dark Trooper because the buffs that are happening to Sith Eternal really limited the viability of Dark Trooper, because anytime you're getting Emperor's Trap, it's a lock buff. Sith allies are getting Turn Meter under a Sith Eternal lead. So good news is they aren't like nerfing his massive one-shot punch damage. They are just in relation to that. It's more or less an Emperor's Trap nerf up against the Sith Eternal. So that's good, because I know we did a video on your channel talking about the Empire, and I think we have probably too much of a love affair for Dark Trooper. What'd you say?
I do love my boy, Dark Trooper. I call him, obviously, for anyone that's seen the movie Old School, I call him Frank the Tank. He just gets in there and just pop, 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 pop. He's just fantastic. So I am a huge fan of Dark Trooper. Really thrilled they're not making massive changes. I still want to use him to take down teams like Darth Revan and things like that. He's still so useful in so many facets of the game. So very, very happy they're not making wholesale changes there. Absolutely. Yeah,
I was a little concerned about that, because we talked about it in your video that maybe won't be a Sith Eternal counter, but they could still beat so much stuff in the game. And this has to be weird for things like Darth Vader. Due to that big nerf, the Coaling Blade, I'm still hoping Darth Vader can still one-shot Darth Revans with the Coaling Blade. But it's good to know that at least Dark Trooper should be able to absolutely wipe out a Malik team. I was in a Grand Arena today. I beat the team. It was an Imperial Trooper team on defense with Dark Trooper. I brought in a Darth Revan blazing fast, and Dark Trooper laid down my Malik. And then he also laid down another time. I walked out of 53 banners on that team. Dark Trooper is absolutely amazing. Good to know they aren't changing him in the Peasant Rock, Paper, Scissors tournament. And here's a who. Oh, all right.
I love it.
Yeah, I don't know why. I feel like that's what there's going to be two versions of Galaxy of Heroes that we're going to end up playing here. Relic 9.
Oh.
I want to. So we're going to talk about relics, and we're going to talk about something that's not on this forum post that was in the podcast that they were on about gear. Relic 9. Yeah. Good news is it's further out, as they say. They want to make sure they get these nerf changes out first before Relic 9 comes. They'll be sharing more details on Relic 9 as it gets closer, but they got to make sure that they see these new changes before Relic 9 happens. So, oh man, I don't know, Heinzie. It's just, we got Relic 8. And there's no sign
we're
of...
both rolling our eyes right now, aren't we, Arnold? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's too soon. It really is. It's frustrating. Look, we're getting our refunds. We're going to get our goodies back. But I think a lot of us, I don't know about you, Arnold, but a lot of the stuff we're getting back, I personally be putting a lot of it back on again, I think, in a lot of cases. And I think a lot of other people will be doing the same thing. Again, I just think it's too soon for Relic 9, especially with the post. I think that if they actually announced everything else, I mean, the balance changes obviously were a whole different conversation, but if they hadn't have included Relic 9 in this particular post, I think everyone would have been really happy with how the whole announcement would have been.
Yeah, it would have been. It was just that Nerf thing that really just put a sour taste in the mouth. Not like I don't think people are excited for Relic 9, but I think it would have been a slightly easier pill to swallow. And the thing that sucks the most about it is that maybe they're going to be announcing details on Relic 9, so maybe we'll get information on this. But knowing CG's track record, I don't feel like they're going to really ease up on Relic 8 materials that are right now exclusive really in only 2 areas, or I guess 3. You can buy a pack, Conquest, or inside of the Challenge Rancor raid. And I think I want to bring this up now. It's not in this forum post. Speaking of easing up on progression tiers, Heinzie, they talked on the Gambit podcast about gear crunch alleviation.
Yes.
And you were watching and you didn't like Crum's body language and his response. I'll let you talk about it.
Glenn, it's going to hurt. It really is.
Just give them the bad news. Just tell it to them.
Guys, they are aware there's a gear crunch problem. They're trying to work on it, but I get the feeling from what I saw that whilst they're going to monitor it, I just can't see a huge change, and I really find that a big issue. I think all of us do, Arnold. It's hard as heck to get things to Gear 12 and Gear 13 from scratch these days.
Yeah.
We know that we had, obviously, valuation drops when Gear 12 Plus came out. Gear 12 products were obviously a lot more inexpensive. Gear 12 Plus is still up there. And even to get to that point, a lot of in-game players are certainly finding it, I think, a little bit more difficult to get the gear they need.
Yeah.
I got caught out on my Commander Tano farm. We talked before the video. So it's certainly very, very frustrating, but we definitely got to find a way to get this gear a lot easier. And if you're going to keep progressing these relic tiers, we need to get the parity with all the previous gear to make it a little bit easier to farm them, definitely.
Few things I want to bring up. Firstly, I am not the only person who had Mark IV Carbonti problems. You're looking at the other guy, right? I felt like an idiot. Like, how do you fall short of Mark IV Carbontis? As I was not the only person, so I'm glad that's here that I wasn't the only fool out there that fell short on Commander Tano gear. But I want to bring up another thing too.
Another fool.
Yeah. It's just such a random piece of gear. I'm pretty sure that was intentional. I bet there's a lot of other people out there that fell into a similar situation. We were just the only public ones about it. I want to bring up this. They also mentioned in that podcast about one of my biggest pet peeves is fine. You're going to make it hard to get gear, even though it's annoying that we still have gear that's from 2016, still a problem. Stun guns, stun cuffs, yada, yada, yada. We don't need to... You can list them all out right now.
But we know what it is.
They are still hell-bent on not allowing people to go higher than Gear 11 under 7 stars. And they mentioned Hux in the podcast, saying that was a one-off, that was a mistake, and it's never going to happen again. It's like, oh my gosh. Why can't we at least allow less than 7 stars get to Gear 12? I mean, the Gear 12 gate from Gear 11 was mainly in place to ensure back when Gear 12 was the new thing that you couldn't get the Gear 12 unless it was 7 stars. We are way past it. That was 2017. 2017! It's 2021 and we still have that in place. So like, it's just, that's like such a little thing I feel like they could do. Unless they just feel like if they allow that, people are less incentivized to buy a character. I don't know. It's just, it's annoying and frustrating. It's like simple layups, I would think. They might have the metrics, man. I don't know. You tell me.
Yeah, we had the same problem back when I had a bit more hair, Arnold. That's how long this problem's been going for, let's be honest. Again, it's just such a frustrating part of the game we really shouldn't be too concerned about. Let's be honest. Just being so long playing this, you've played this since the start. I've played this for a heck of a long time now as well, a little bit later than yourself. But it's certainly something that I'm sure can be addressed. It's just a case of it's not really a major concern for them. That's the attitude that I get, and it's not ideal. It really isn't. Hopefully we address that. But we're getting some relic gear back, aren't we, Arnold? So we can move things around. It's most likely we're going. I mean, I don't know about you, but I mean, I might still have a relegate Vader or General Anakin Skywalker. I mean, you need relegate General Anakin Skywalker for Lord Vader anyway. So it's like, here, we're giving it back to, but you're gonna end up giving back to them. Don't you guys pretend otherwise. So it's like, oh, okay, well, thanks, I guess. Oh man, we can go on and on. That's a whole novel right there in regards to gear and relic crunch. Man. Anyways, 2 more things they mentioned on this forum post here in regards to Razer Crest shards. As you know, the bomb was dropped that a Razer Crest was needed, and they actually updated their forum post since we all made videos. Originally, it looked like you only need a 5-star Razer Crest, but to get the Executor, you need a 7-star Razer Crest, and not a lot of people have it, and some people actually put off the Razer Crest because they wanted to go for Commander Time, which is a superior unit, but now Razer Crest is needed for a legendary unit of some sort, and they're going to be unveiling details and how to get more Razer Crest shards coming soon. Because remember, there's like a cadence. First, they're like the new thing, and then they reduce their cost a little bit, and then they have this next step of the plan to make it more accessible. So if you're worried about not getting the Executor, I mean, there's a lot more concerns. A 7-star Razer Crest, especially those crazy Galactic Legends-like requirements. And that actually brings us to that point right here. In regards to the Executor requirements, it's steep, man. It's pretty much the first Galactic Legends type of ship to some extent. But they are saying that the requirements are going to be commensurate in power, and it's definitely going to have a solid place in the fleet meta. They're very specific. They're not saying it's going to overthrow Malevolence and Negotiator. It might stay competitive. It's hard to say what it's going to be in regards to where it's going to sit, but it sounds like it's going to be a very powerful capital ship. So does that ease the pain for you going for Executor? I don't know if that changes much. It's still crazy steep, my man. It is crazy steep. Look, there's a couple of benefits here, and the first one is that, of course, the pilot is Admiral Piet, a fantastic character to have in your roster anyway. At least that's
you don't need Relic Endo on him, but
yeah. But at least he's fantastic. I mean, you and I both use him consistently quite a lot, and he's a great character to use. We talked about him, at length, yesterday. It was great. But yeah, look, this is a Galactic Legend style ship, whether you like it or not. I mean, the requirements are there. They are very, very high. But he may be meta defining. He may completely change the meta. He may just make it a lot easier to climb and maybe hold a little bit more consistently than, say, Negotiator and Malevolence have in the past. So I think it'll definitely be a ship that we're all going to want. There's no doubt. And I'm a bounty hunter guy, Arnold. I do like my bounty hunters. I like what I'm hearing, not going to lie. So it's definitely something that I'm personally excited about. But yeah, I think that if you're a long-term player that's been playing this game for a while, and if you value the ship component of this game, which a lot of people do, but a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
You're definitely going to want to go for it. It's a no-brainer.
And actually, speaking of ships, I'd say it's a gaming mode you either love or hate. They did mention on the podcast. This is not on the forum post. Again, link down below if you want to watch the whole podcast. There were 3 additional things they mentioned on the podcast that were not on here. And one of them is in regards to their comment on a road ahead a long time ago in regards to a ship load of changes. Coming, that's SHIP for the person that's going to be reviewing this video from YouTube. Ship load of changes coming to Star Wars Galaxy Heroes, and they talked a little bit about it on the podcast, and Crumb said they're excited to talk about it, and we're going to be getting some intel soon. TM. In regards to that. I mean, what are you expecting out of this?
Well, firstly, when we say that word, because I am an Australian and swearing is a national sport, I have to be really careful to say ship load of content, because we're a little bit colourful down here. But again, I'm actually really happy to hear that. I really am. I think that the ship component of this game really needs a huge overhaul in so many different areas. We have factions not filled. We have we make do with what we've got. We just don't have enough ships with more capital ships coming in to fill the fleets. It's crazy. So we are expecting a lot more ship content. I believe that I think there'll be some sort of a hardware component added, like mods do to characters, something along those lines that'll boost ships along the way, the favorite ones that you use. I think that it's only a matter of time before we get some sort of boosting component, which I think is good, considering we obviously do the light side GOTB, and ship GP. Definitely we need some way to build that up. It's something that is also something that we're going to struggle to clear for quite some time, so that may also help with that side of things too, but we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, all that's fine and dandy, but what I really want to see is just some sort of content that makes ships a lot more engaging, because right now everything that has ships, it feels like an afterthought. It's like you do all these 3 zones in Grand, it's like, oh yeah, by the way, there's a couple of ships back there. Or even like territory battles, you do like how many 20 plus waves of character battles, and then it's, oh, by the way, there's 1 wave of ships up on the north. Don't forget about that. There's got to be something more meaningful that gets people excited. I think they really got to bring in some sort of game mode. I know they said they're not making a raid for a very long time. It's not the plan, but some event like a Death Star raid. I don't want to say the word raid, because then they're gonna be like, oh, we're not doing a raid, some sort of Death Star event. I don't know how you'd make it a Conquest style Death Star event where I don't know. There's got to be something that they can do to make ships more engaging. I'm not looking personally for more progression on ships. There's more ways to use my ships to have fun with it, because it just feels like it's a knockoff of what we do with characters already, and it's an afterthought in all the game modes that exist. And so I'm hoping there's something a little bit bigger coming down the road, man. I don't know. The ships definitely feel like the abandoned child for a lot of the game modes in the game. Preach, Arnold, preach. How we don't have some sort of a major Death Star event in this game, considering the Death Star is not really important in Star Wars history.
How do you not have it?
I know. My point exactly. I'm picking up what you're throwing down right now. Let me tell you, I've been arguing for a Death Star raid for years. I really have. Obviously, they don't want to do raids, but we need some sort of a large-scale event that includes the Death Star in some component. And of course, ships were huge in the attack on the Death Star. There's a way to bring that in and engage that component of the game. It makes sense. It really does. But how we don't have anything major Death Star related really bemuses me. Not gonna lie.
It baffles me. I mean, so that pretty much wraps everything they talked about. I'll although I am slightly concerned. They didn't really talk much, unless they did it in the podcast. I missed it. They didn't spend a lot of time in regards to how these changes are going to affect Conquest. I have a lot of concerns about Conquest. I expressed the other day. A lot of people are able to max it out without a Galactic Legend. I know plenty of people without a Galactic Legend that got Commander Town, which is a really big, accomplishment. That CG's all, or EA's all about pride and accomplishment, right? So it's one of those things where I'm hoping that because of all the data discs juicing up your team, we should be able to still beat Galactic Legends inside of Conquest. And then it comes to Grand Arena. They did say they're going to keep an eye on the Grand Arena matchmaking going forward, but I'm hoping this is not going to cause a lot of problems with people getting matched up with more GLs than them. I mentioned there's a strategic thing you could do if you think they're going to place both GLs on defense. You place one, and then they're going to have a hard time full clearing. I don't know. It's a really weird conundrum that we're going to be in moving forward. So not a lot of details on Conquest and Grand Arena, which I hope maybe as we go forward we get more details, or we can just see how this world's going to look like. But Conquest, it's got to stay beatable without Galactic Legends for 1,000%.
Yep, could not agree more with that. And again, matchmaking is a whole different conversation.
Man.
Arnold, it really is. We could go on for hours just on that.
We could easily go on for hours. So in that way, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the video right there. Heinze, absolutely fantastic to hang out with you. As you guys can tell, this guy, man, we could talk for another several hours here. So please, if you want to keep the conversation going on his channel, check out the video we did, or just check out his channel and subscribe as well, so you can keep the party going on down under. So when we might be sleeping up here on the other side, down under, they're partying hard, ain't that right?
We're just warming up. That's how we roll down here. Absolutely. No, thank you, Arnold. It's been an absolute honor. It really has. It's been a real highlight. I've been watching you for years. Love the Kyber Club. Love what you guys do. It is absolutely fantastic. So thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're too kind. Too kind. On that bombshell, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to like this video, comment down below, go check out Heinze, and make sure you subscribe to both of us. And Heinze, what's the most important thing that we like to say around here at the end of a video?
It's good to be in the Empire.
A slight correction. It's great to be in the Empire today.
Great to be in the Empire. I'm sorry it's late here.
Roll out the outro, Gary. Gary, you gotta put the music on, buddy. There